Leadership is not sustained by fear. Influence is not built by force. There is a hidden currency that decides whether teams rise or collapse, whether organizations innovate or stagnate, whether command is respected or ignored. That currency is trust. Trust is not a feeling. It is not a luxury. It is not an optional virtue or an inspirational poster. Trust is the operating system of performance. Without it, no vision survives, no strategy succeeds, no culture thrives. With it, ordinary people become extraordinary. Teams become families. Organizations become movements. This is the warrior's perspective. The battlefield is not won by numbers or strength. It is won by the bond between those who fight together. Today we explore trust not as emotion, but as science, as strategy, as the hidden engine of power. Principle 1. Trust is the foundation of all leadership. A leader may have authority, resources, skill, or strategy, but without trust, they have nothing. Trust turns command into willingness, orders into alignment, direction into devotion. The greatest leaders in history were not loved for their titles. They were trusted for their character. Trust does not rise from charisma. It rises from integrity, consistency, discipline, and action. Leadership without trust is leadership without followers. A team that trusts the leader fights harder. A team that trusts each other moves faster. A team that trusts the mission becomes unstoppable. Trust is the bedrock upon which performance is built. Principle 2. Trust is a risk, and that is its power. Trust is dangerous. Trust is irrational. Trust willingly hands someone the weapon that could destroy you. That is why it creates strength. A warrior does not wait for certainty. He commits before he knows the outcome. Weak leaders demand proof before trust. Strong leaders extend trust first, because trust does not appear when risk disappears. Trust is the courage to believe in another before you have guarantees. This is why trust creates loyalty. It asks the other person to rise to the level of faith placed in them. Principle 3. Transparency is the language of trust. Where there is secrecy, trust dies. Where there is honesty, trust thrives. Transparency is not dumping information. It is communicating truth with clarity. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What is the real situation? What is the vision? What is the threat? Hidden motives destroy organizations from the inside. When a leader hides information, the team creates its own stories. Every story they create becomes a crack in the foundation. The warrior leader does not manipulate. He speaks truth, even when difficult. Transparency is not weakness. It is the strongest form of respect. Principle 4. Consistency creates trust or destroys it. Trust is not built on grand gestures. It is built on daily behavior. People do not trust what you say. They trust what you do repeatedly. Show up the same way every day. Honor your word every time. Hold your standard when no one is watching. Consistency is the currency of reliability. Even small violations of consistency damage trust. One broken promise, one lie, one whispered betrayal, one act of selfishness. 1,000 victories cannot replace one moment of cowardice. The warrior knows he earns trust not by perfection, but by reliability. Principle 5. Trust is built by character, not authority. True authority is not given, it is earned. You can force compliance. You cannot force loyalty. People follow character. They follow integrity. They follow conviction. A leader's true test is simple. When everything collapses, do your people still believe in you? Titles fade, power shifts, status changes. But character stands forever. Character is leadership's strongest weapon. It is not about being right. It is about being worthy. Principle 6. Empowerment builds trust better than command. Trust grows not when a leader exerts control, but when they give it away. Micromanagement is the assassin of trust. It tells people, I don't believe in you. But empowerment activates identity. You decide. You solve it. You take ownership. You lead. When people are trusted with responsibility, they rise. When they are controlled, they shrink. Strong leaders do not build followers. They build future leaders. Trust given becomes trust returned. Principle 7. Trust is a shield against fear. Fear destroys teams. Fear of speaking up. Fear of mistakes. Fear of judgment. Fear of looking weak. Fear creates silence. Silence creates failure. But trust removes fear. Trust says, you can speak freely. You can admit the problem. You can bring the truth. The warrior leader protects the culture. Criticism is welcome. Mistakes are data. Honesty is honored. Fear is the enemy of leadership. Trust is the antidote. Principle 8. Trust accelerates decision-making. When a team trusts each other, everything moves faster. Without trust, every decision is questioned, every action is resisted, every change becomes a battle. With trust, direction becomes immediate, coordination becomes natural, execution becomes automatic. Trust is the lubricant of action. In war, delays are deadly. In business, hesitation kills momentum. Trust enables speed. Speed creates advantage. Principle 9. Trust turns ordinary people into elite teams. The difference between average teams and elite ones is not talent. It is trust. Trust transforms individuals into units, units into tribes, tribes into movements. A team that trusts each other does not break. They can fail and rise, lose and return, fall and rebuild. When trust is present, people fight harder, they go further, they sacrifice more, they endure longer, because trust makes the mission personal. Principle 10. Trust is legacy. It outlasts you. The true measure of leadership is simple. Do people still believe in you when you are gone? Leadership is temporary. Trust is permanent. When you build trust, you build legacy. You do not create obedience. You create alignment. You do not create followers. You create protectors of the mission. Trust is the invisible architecture of culture. It outlives strategies. It outlives challenges. It outlives the leader. Trust is the inheritance of greatness. Trust is not a tactic. It is not a management technique. It is not a soft skill. Trust is the hidden engine that makes organizations unstoppable. With trust, people commit fully. With trust, teams operate as one. With trust, leaders become unbreakable. Trust is the invisible currency of power. Because where there is trust, fear dies, doubt dies, division dies, and leadership is born. Be the leader who builds trust, protects trust, lives trust. Because trust is the force that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary teams. It is the weapon of the warrior, the strength of the leader, the foundation of power, and the true currency of greatness.